Wednesday's here, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the show tonight. My name is Stuart Davis. I am a flawed man of God. I am a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, haven't been to seminary. Not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do tonight, as I am here every night, is to talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity in general, give you what perspective I can as a Christian, been one all my life, non denominational Protestant, um, 39 years. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination, just in the word every day, trying to do it better. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much, but you're going to get what you get with me. So if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Jesus, thinking about having a relationship with him, seeking out more to this existence than just your life here on earth, welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Hope you are able to get some sort of um, insights from me for what I can offer to you. Hopefully this acts as an amateur amateur springboard into a relationship with Christ. And and I would love to get hear from you what you get out of this. If you are already a Christian, you just enjoy Christian topics and conversation, then welcome to the show as well. Glad to have you here. Please, just like the other folks, please consider joining the chat. We have a great group of folks in there. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school where, it's just a small group of folks having good conversation. That's where we're at with this channel, and it's a good place. It's a good place to be. So, with that said, if you like what you're hearing tonight, if you think that it's worth clicking that like button, please do subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to hear more, click that notification bell and get alerts when I stream. I generally stream weeknights starting around 8 o'clock, 8-ish. A little late tonight, just a few minutes, and that's where we're trying to go. There will be no stream on Friday night tonight or this week, though, because I have other obligations. And Thursday might be up in the air. With all that all said and done, how's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully, pretty good. I need to see Blaine and Nernaeth in the chat tonight because I've got something I got to talk about. I just want to get to them. Porcupine first, and looks like maybe the only one here so far. Ahoy, he says, got that Grizzly Adams look going tonight, Stuart. You know what I did this morning after my shower? I blow dried my beard out. And it's getting longer. Getting like a little bit of water there. It's getting longer every day, and I'm starting to get more and more of that look when I'm fully kempt, like the Confederate general that my ancestor Jeb Stuart was. So I got a picture of him somewhere over there where he is in his pose, and that's my goal. I need to get the beard to kind of come out a little bit, just kind of come out a little bit, and then slick it back in the back as it grows out. There is a reason why I'm growing my hair out. I will let you guys know in time what that's all about, but it is not the time right now to share. So, Porcupine, how's the bus conversion going along? Pretty well. Hopefully so. How was singing Johnny Cash, which wasn't The Gambler? How was singing Johnny Cash last night to your daughter? Hopefully went well. Sorry to miss last night's stream. Well, you popped in and said hello. You said you'd catch it on the back. Turned Oh. Well, good name. Good name. And happy birthday. He's close to being my son's age. And it's hard to reconcile the fact that the 9 years that I've spent with my son, 9.5 years getting close to, the 9.5 years I've spent with my son, if you double that, and it feels like it's gone by in a flash, if you double that, he'll be 18 and going out on his own. And that is that's a tough one. That's always tough for me to kind of reconcile. It's these moments that we get with our kids. So it just feels every moment is something that you can get lost in, but then when you look back on it, it's fleet. You realize how fleeting all this time is, and it's difficult. It is difficult sometimes to put that into perspective. Love my kids. I wish they'd stay their age forever, whatever age they're at. I've enjoyed every minute of it, even when I've been angry with them. It has given me um, no end of joy and appreciation. So, um, happy birthday ahead of time, because I'll probably forget that tomorrow. But happy birthday ahead of time to your son. Good on him. Give My Love to Rose is her favorite song. I'm trying to think of that one off the top of my head. Yeah. Bus is sadly on hold until the holiday season is over. Work has been bananas. It's probably hard to work on that with all the weather that you guys get up there where you're at. So I can understand why that might be an issue too. But hey, work being busy, that's generally job security. So there we go. What else was I going to say? Oh, tonight's very special for me. 20 years ago, me and my wife met for the first time, and that was really cool because as we were talking about kids, I don't have the kids without her. This is not imagination land that some folks think it is, where you can just have kids on your own. You can just be whatever you want to be and just do it. 5 inches of snow tonight and tomorrow. Look, I love snow. I want it to snow here so bad it hurts. I want it to snow on Christmas so bad. Probably not going to get it. And it's been kind of in the good news and the good side and the bad side. It's looked like it's going to snow. Like you get that solid low overcast that you get in the winter of gray sky. It's been like that all week. So it's had the look, it's had the feel, it's had the chill in the air where it feels like it could snow at any minute, but it's not going to. That's the sad part of it. It's not going to snow. And I'm such a minority, at least in this area, of someone who wants snow and I get excited about snow, and not in a bad way. I get excited about snow because I just love it. I love watching the kids play in it. I like driving in it when nobody else is on the road. I like driving in it. I like everything about snow. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's pretty cool. And I'm trying to think. It wasn't snowing when I met my wife, but we met just a few miles down the road from here, and that was the beginning of a long friendship. I got friend zoned by her. I didn't I was kind of a simp. Kind of a simp for a while. But I mean, it was kind of like, I went on I did my own thing. We talked about dating. At the time we didn't. That was more her decision than mine, but whatever. I went off and did my own thing. And had my own relationships in the meantime. She had hers, and we maintained a friendship throughout. And then when I was in overseas, she she wasn't in she wasn't in a good place. She reached out to me, and you know, we started talking. And things were just. I was getting ready to come home, and uh, getting ready to come home. So, we kind of knew the writing was on the wall by the exchanges that we had. That there was probably a relationship that was going to develop in the immediate future. And that's exactly what happened. And I think we both knew that if we got into a relationship, it was going to be one that would be permanent, and which it was. And there you have it. It's been like that ever since. My wife is an excellent cook. She is awesome. She is a great challenge for me. She is a perfectionist. She pushes me to improve, and she supports me when I need it. And I've said this stuff before. I've got a good pairing and somebody to kind of ground me when I'm kind of in my, because I get a little excited, right? I get, I can give into a wide variety of emotions. Like I said, most of my issue is anger. She helps calm me down on that. So she is steady, um, emotionally, where I am and where I can be all over the map. And I am steady, um, in leading and planning and putting the family where she can be a little all over the place. But that's good because that dynamic has really helped worked in our favor. And I think that, that's a great example of complementarianism where, people, a man and a woman have different strengths and weaknesses. And it is good for us to seek out those who complement our strengths and weaknesses well. So, Porcupine, I proposed during a snowstorm in Green Bay, got on kneaded knee and all in the snow on bended knee, I think. Got on bended knee and all in the snowbank. I think one of my bigger regrets is that I didn't start having kids sooner. I waited. Um, Knowing then, if I knew then what I know now, we would have started immediately, like having kids. So it might just be you and me tonight, Porcupine. 13 minutes in, it's just us. So no Nico tonight. That's a couple of shows Nico's been missing. Your normal 4.5 hour drive to see her took 9.5 hours during that storm. That's commitment. 4.5 hours is commitment. 4.5 hours is me driving up to see my brother for the weekend. 4.5 hours is me driving with the kids to the beach. That's a vacation. That's time off. That's a long drive. And look, I've had a couple of jobs with an hour and a half commute each way. And I'm saying that's a bit. When me and my wife first met, see how long my hair is getting. When me and my wife first met, it was it's about an hour, 10 minutes, hour 15 between where we lived. Those were the heady days of Yahoo, AOL Instant Messenger, Yahoo Instant Messenger, Hotmail Messenger, and we had the Yahoo Instant Messenger was the one we talked on probably the most. We had the best conversations on because you had a little drawing in here. So you had a drawing part of the app where you could draw pictures. So we were just doing all sorts of goofiness in that, and that was fun. None of that stuff exists anymore. None of that stuff exists anymore. Now we have Facebook Messenger and Signal and all the other chat apps. Way too many. Discord, Telegram. It's too much for me too. Blaine, how's it going? Welcome to the show. It's just you, me, and Porcupine tonight. And I need Nernaeth, right? Because I need to say this. Look, y'all might know this, but I have not been wearing Hawaiian shirts. I've stopped once winter hits. Once winter hits, it is flannel time. And Blaine, out where you live, y'all wear flannel, appropriating my culture out here in rural Virginia. This is farmers and loggers and all sorts of um, country folk, not hipsters with their flannel clothes out there in Seattle while they sip on their coffee and talk about how spoilers are good for cars. You might have built your city by logging, but you're tearing it down with on something else. What is that Space Needle anyway? Are they compensating? Okay, this is what. Yeah, Signal, the place I go to meet women and not feds. Look, the feds are in everything. What you got to ask yourself is, what do the feds use when they're talking to other people? And in my experience, they use Signal. Porcupine. We used to play Uno on Yahoo Games. Oh yeah, Dominoes. I used to play Dominoes on Yahoo Games all the time, dude. That was my jam. Dominoes and hearts and spades. All right, all right. We've given everybody enough time. We've given everybody enough time. Blaine and Porcupine and me. That's enough to go over this. So let's get into things. Now we're going to get into all the new craziness that is Israel and Judah under David, the kingdom. Because look, David went over the top, got ahead of himself, tried to get into tried to just do what he wanted to do. And he got put back in his place. And he accepted being put in his place. Right? Enough. Show enough. He accepted being put in his place, and there lies what we're going to do. But I think what we're going to see here, what we saw in the last chapter with Absalom and what was his name? Amnon, is something very similar to what we saw with Joseph and his brothers, with Ishmael and Isaac. There was strife between siblings when there's multiple moms involved, meaning David decided he was going to have many wives and many concubines as well. And with that comes a fair amount of children. And family drama ensues. It's hard to keep everybody together when there's often competition among the women. There are hard feelings when we're talking about Bathsheba or Michael. Very weird, odd dynamics. That stuff all goes along, and what we see out of that comes significant problems. And what we're going to see through the Old Testament is God never really condones or approves of multiple wives, right? He allows it. Seems like he allows it. But that's not how he created us. He didn't create multiple Eves for Adam. Created one, right? And out of that they had kids. Of course, those siblings had problems too, Cain and Abel, right? But what we're going to see is a continuation of issues within the house of David. And perhaps if David had stayed steadfast, maybe some of this is mitigated. Or maybe it doesn't matter, because maybe David's spending so much time with the women and the ruling of the country that he's not spending as much time shepherding his kids along. Or maybe they just, from the get-go, weren't all that great. Don't know. But whatever the reasoning, we're going to see trouble is here. And it's going to start with the return of Absalom to Jerusalem. When we last left him, Absalom had fled. He had killed his brother Amnon because his brother Amnon had raped his sister, right? And then threw her out of the house. So Absalom waits until the time is right and then strikes and kills his brother, or has men kill his brother in front of his other brothers, who all flee. And while the other princes of Israel flee back to the palace, Absalom flees to Gershom, whatever, some other place. And he stays there for years. And David is upset by the loss of one of his sons for being killed, and the loss of another son who is in hiding. And let's see how this all shakes out. So, without further ado, well, I'm going to take a quick water. So, with that said, let's get into 2 Samuel chapter 14. Absalom returns to Jerusalem. Joab, son of Zeruiah, knew that the king's heart longed for Absalom. So Joab sent someone to Tekoa and had a wise woman brought from there. He said to her, "Pretend you are in mourning, dress in mourning clothes, and don't use any cosmetic lotions. Act like a woman who has spent many days grieving for the dead. Then go to the king and speak these words to him." And Joab put the words in her mouth. Look, Joab doesn't do good things. Joab's generally not somebody who's involved with great things. And I guess maybe the intentions were clear here. Let's see how it goes. But immediately I'm already suspicious. I'm already suspicious because he's generally not involved in anything good. But of course, Jacob was like that for for the most of part of his life. When the woman from Tekoa went to the king, she fell with her face to the ground to pay him honor, and she said, "Help me, your majesty. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." The king asked her, "What is troubling you?" He said, "Actually, that is a name I haven't heard in a long time." She said, "I am a widow. My husband is dead. I, your servant, has 2 sons. They got into a fight with each other in the field, and no one was there to separate them. One struck the other and killed him. Now the whole clan has risen up against your servant. They say, 'Hand over the one who struck his brother down, so that we may put him to death for the life of his brother whom he killed. Then we will get rid of the heir as well.' They would put out the only burning coal I have left, leaving my husband neither name nor descendant on the face of the earth." But the king said to the woman, "Go home, and I will issue an order on your behalf." But the woman from Tekoa said to him, "Let my lord the king pardon me and my family, and let the king and his throne be without guilt." The king replied, "If anyone says anything to you, bring them to me, and they will not bother you again." She said, "Then let the king invoke the Lord his God to prevent the anger of blood from adding to the destruction, so that my son will not be destroyed. As surely as the Lord lives," he said, "not one hair of your son's head will fall to the ground." Then the woman said, "Let your servant speak a word to the Lord the king, to my lord the king." Sorry, that's very different people. The Lord is God. My lord the king is David. "Speak," he replied. The woman said, "Why then have you devised a thing like this against the people of God? When the king says this, does he not convict himself? For the king has not brought back his banished son. Like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be recovered, so we must die. But that is not what God desires. Rather, he devises ways so that a banished person must not remain banished to him, means banished from him. And now I have come to say this to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid. Your servant thought, I will speak to the king. Perhaps he will grant his servant's request. Perhaps the king will agree to deliver his servant from the hand of the man who is trying to cut off both me and my son from God's inheritance. And now your servant says, may the word of my lord the king secure my inheritance, for my lord the king is like an angel of God in discerning good and evil. May the Lord your God be with you. I guess Joab is trying to be Nathan here. Right? Nathan comes with a parable, with a problem, and gets a reaction out of David, and then flips it and goes, "You're the man. You're the guy who stole the sheep that he didn't need, and he's the one who slaughtered it for the man." He's like, "Well, why? If you were going to do this for me, why don't you do this for yourself?" Clever, very clever. And she did one thing that's funny. She's like, my lord the king is like an angel of God in discerning good and evil. Well, not always. Then the king said to the woman, don't keep from me the answer to what I am going to ask you. Let my lord the king speak, the woman said. The king asked, isn't the hand of Joab with you in all of this? Oh, snap! David knows! He knows! Shut it down! Yeah, I can tell, David, I'm wise enough to see Joab's influence on this. The woman answered, as surely as you live, my lord the king, no one can turn to the right or to the left from anything my lord the king says. Yes, it was your servant Joab who instructed me to do this, and who put all these words into the mouth of your servant. Your servant Joab did this to change the present situation. My lord has wisdom like that of an angel of God. She keeps that. She keeps flattering him. He knows everything that happens in the land. The king said to Joab, very well, I will do it. Go back and bring back the young man Absalom. Smells like a Joab, walks like a Joab, quacks like a Joab, commits mischief like a Joab. Joab fell with his face to the ground to pay him honor, and he blessed the king. Joab said, today your servant knows that he has found favor in your eyes, my lord the king, because the king has granted his servant's request. Geshur, that's where he went. Gershur, I was going to say Gershom. And Joab went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. But the king said, he must go to his own house. He must not see my face. Remember, he killed one of his sons, so maybe there's some issue there. And here might be one of the other problems with that. He got, Absalom got David to put Amnon in the position where he could be killed. So, porcupine sadly sounds like my passive aggressive Midwestern mom too. So Absalom went to his own house and did not see the face of the king. And that's probably, like I said, there's probably some underlying issue there. Not only did he commit murder, but he also made David somewhat complicit in it. He made him a pawn. I don't know why they didn't just press the problem. In all Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. Oh, carrying in his father's footsteps right there. From the top of his head to the sole of his feet, there was no blemish in him. An Adonis. Whenever he cut the hair off his head, he used to cut his hair once. Whenever he cut the hair of his head, he used to cut his hair once a year because it became too heavy for him. He would weigh it, and its weight was 200 shekels by the royal standard. 200 shekels? 5 pounds. Man has got quite the mane. It's almost like my beard. 3 sons and a daughter were born to Absalom. His daughter's name was Tamar, and she became a beautiful woman. Wait a minute. He named him after his sister. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Just thought that was interesting. His daughter's name was Tamar, and she became a beautiful woman. Absalom lived 2 years in Jerusalem without seeing the king's face. Then Absalom sent for Joab in order to send him to the king, but Joab refused to come to him. So he sent a second time, but he refused to come. Then he said to his servants, "Look, Joab's field is next to mine." Oh, that's really awkward. "And he has barley there. Go and set it on fire." Absalom has no chill. Look, I've asked for you twice. You haven't come, so now I'm going to get your attention with fire. So Absalom's servant set the field on fire. He got Joab's attention. Not to say that Joab doesn't deserve this for some other things he said. Then Joab did go to Absalom's house, and he said to him, "Why have your servants set my field on fire?" Absalom said to Joab, "Look, I sent word to you and said, 'Come here, so I can send you to the king to ask, why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me if I was still there. Now then, I want to see the king's face, and if I am guilty of anything, let him put me to death.'" I said, "Okay, it's been really awkward being in Jerusalem as a prince of Israel, but I can't see my dad, the king, because he's asked not to. When I was perfectly fine in Geshur alone, and you brought me here, and now what am I doing here? So, if you got to do something, if you're going to keep me away, let it be because I did something wrong. And if I did something wrong, put me to death." So Joab went to the king and told him this. I said, the king has a name. Then the king summoned Absalom, and he came in and bowed down with his face to the ground before the king. And the king kissed Absalom. Chapter 15. Absalom's conspiracy. In the course of time, Absalom provided himself with a chariot and horses, and with 50 men to run ahead of him. I'm sure there wasn't any taxpayer money involved in this, right? Right. Yeah, don't believe that for a second. Provided himself? Yeah, I bet. Okay. Okay, Nancy Pelosi. He would get up early and stand by the side of the road leading to the city gate. Whenever anyone came with a complaint to be placed before the king for decision, Absalom would call out to him. "What town are you from?" He would answer, "Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel. Insert here." Then Absalom would say to him, "Look, your claims are valid and proper, but there is no representative of the king to hear you." And Absalom would add, "If only I were appointed judge in the land, then everyone who has a complaint or case could come to me, and I would see that they receive justice." All right, so whoo, okay, just gonna try to insert yourself into the royal business. Gonna just try to circumvent your dad like that. Okay, that's not untoward. That's not rude. Maybe he feels slighted. Maybe he feels like Amnon should have been killed. Like maybe Absalom feels like he shouldn't have had to kill Amnon himself. Maybe this should have come a long time ago. Maybe there's some resentment for 2 years in Geshur, or for the time he spent in Geshur and then the time he spent in Jerusalem not talking to his father. Maybe something is going on here. Maybe Absalom's not a great guy. Who knows? Also, Whenever anyone approached him to bow down before him, Absalom would reach out his hand, take hold of him, and kiss him. Absalom behaved this way toward all the Israelites who came to the king asking for justice, and so he stole the hearts of the people of Israel. Oh, great! We got a politician. We got a freaking politician in our hands. He's got a taxpayer-provided chariot and horses. He's got his taxpayer-funded bodyguards, and he is doing one step above kissing babies, just kissing everybody, all the voters, right? All the people. And they all love him. Oh man, he's such a great guy. They sound like the Israelites sound like my family. So my family on one parent side of my family, they are easily enamored with people if they take the time to acknowledge them. People who are popular in some regard or have some sort of clout. Uh, some of them have been involved with political parties, and the people that they have met because my dad was a politician. Um, they these people are just great because they were nice to them once, not understanding that politicians are nice to everyone they want something out of. But they don't understand, you know. I've told them, oh crap. Ed Gillespie. Ed Gillespie ran for governor against our last governor. I'm trying to remember his name. Ed Gillespie was a Republican running against the Democrat who ended up winning, right? And Gillespie was your quintessential party man in the old guard GOP style. He was and so my grandma. I'm gonna get get ahead of myself. A family member of mine was talking about how great they were. This person was, and I'm like, what did he do? Why is he great? Oh, he's been, he's just done a lot of great things for the party. It's like he's a party bundler. He gets he's a lobbyist. He was a lobbyist and then he was a party bundler he got money for the party. He's done nothing that anybody would actually respect out of somebody. And you think that makes him qualified to be a governor? I think that disqualifies him from being a governor. I'd say that is a lot of negatives against him. And the fact that he had zero personality and the fact that he was not he didn't have much of a backbone. He got trounced. He got absolutely trounced and it was bad. It was an ugly election cycle for Virginia because we got all the stuff that put this Loudoun County stuff kind of helped facilitate a lot of that. If any of y'all were paying attention to the nightmare fuel that Nick Ricado was reading about last night when he was reading the grand jury findings, it was insanely bad. And it takes less time for me to get to Loudoun County, Porcupine, than it took you to drive to go see your now wife. It would take less than half of the amount of time. But while that facilitated that, if that stuff doesn't break the way that it does, Youngkin doesn't become governor. We get Kerry McAuliffe again, and this stuff will continue to be terrible. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. Basically, where we're at, Absalom's a politician. He's not to be trusted, but as we know, people trust him because he's nice, right? Everybody he's a nice guy. He's handsome. He's got his chariots and his bodyguards. Yeah, he paid for that chariot and bodyguard. He got all that stuff because you gave it to him with your tax money. Anyways, at the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, Let me go to Hebron and fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. While your servant was living at Geshur in Aram, I made this vow. If the Lord takes me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron. The king said to him, Go in peace. So he went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent secret messengers throughout the tribes of Israel to say, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, then say, Absalom is king in Hebron. 200 men from Jerusalem had accompanied Absalom. They had been invited as guests and went quite innocently, knowing nothing about the matter. While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he also sent Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, to come from Gilo, his hometown, because he's a Gilonite, right? And so the conspiracy gained strength, and Absalom's following kept on increasing. Dun dun dun. Next title: David flees. Well, again, a messenger came and told David, "The hearts of the people of Israel are with Absalom." Then David said to all of his officials who were with him in Jerusalem, Come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom. We must leave immediately, or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring ruin on us and put the city to the sword. The king's officials answered him, Your servants are ready to do whatever our lord the king chooses. The king set out with his entire household following him, but he left 10 concubines to take care of the palace. What? You guys, you ladies, I'm taking everybody else. I'm going to leave you 10 women. Make sure you keep the house in order. Of 10 concubines to take care of the palace. So the king set out with all the people following him, and they halted at the edge of the city. All his men marched past him, along with the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and all the 600 Gittites who had accompanied him from Gath marched before the king. The king said to Ittai the Gittite, Why should you come along with us? Go back and stay with King Absalom. You are a foreigner, an exile from your homeland. You came only yesterday, and today I shall make you wander about with us, when I do not know where I am going. David, this is not the first time you've done this. Go back and take your people with you. May the Lord show you kindness and faithfulness. But Ittai replied to the king, As surely as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king may be, wherever it means life or death, whether it means life or death, there were you. And I really mucked that up. Wherever the Lord the king may be, whether it means life or death, there will your servant be. So David said to Ittai, Go ahead, march on. So Ittai the Gittite marched on with all his men and the families that were with him. The whole countryside wept aloud as all the people passed by. The king also crossed the Kidron Valley, and all the people moved on to the wilderness. Zadok was there too, and all the Levites who were there with him were carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. They kept it with them. Yes, smart David. I'm glad the Bathsheba issue, the whole Bathsheba and Uriah issue didn't break you, man. Saul would have left without it. He absolutely would have left without it. Might not have left the 10 concubines. I don't know. We'll see. They set down the ark of God, and Abiathar offered sacrifice until all the people had finished leaving the city. Then the king said to Zadok, Take the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor, why are you leaving it? If I find favor in the Lord's eyes, he will bring me back and let me see it in his dwelling place again. But if he says, I am not pleased with you, then I am ready. Let him do to me whatever seems good to him. Man, look, he makes me look like a jerk. This is a great move. This is David. This is the David we're used to. This is the David we know and love. He's being the consequences of his actions, whatever, some of the punishment that's coming on to him, wherever it's coming from, he's being forced out of the city. They took the ark with them only long enough to make sacrifices. Then he sends the ark back to the company. He goes, Look, the ark's place is there in Jerusalem. All right? That's where the ark belongs. If God wants me to see it again, He'll bring me back. And if he doesn't, that's his will. His will be done. This is old David. This is old Jonathan behavior, and you love seeing it. Love seeing it. The king also said to Zadok the priest, "Do you understand? Go back to the city with my blessing. Take your son Ahimaaz with you, and also Abiathar's son Jonathan. You and Abiathar return with your 2 sons. I will wait at the fords in the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." So Zadok and Abiathar took the ark of God back to Jerusalem and stayed there. But David continued up the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered, and he was barefoot. All the people with him covered their heads too, and were weeping as they went up. Now David had been told, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. So David prayed, "Lord, turn Ahithophel's counsel into foolishness." Oh, love that. May the counsel of my enemies be from fools. When David arrived at the summit where people used to worship God, Hushai the Archite was there to meet him, his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, 'Your Majesty, I will be your servant. I was your father's servant in the past, but now I will be your servant,' then you can help me by frustrating Ahithophel's advice. Won't the priests Zadok and Abiathar be there with you? Tell them anything you hear in the king's palace. Their 2 sons, Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, and Jonathan, son of Abiathar, are there with them. Send them to me with anything you hear." So Hushai, David's confidant, arrived in Jerusalem as Absalom was entering the city. Y'all been quiet. This has been quite a quiet group. This is good, man. Ugh. Nico's gonna be mad. He better catch this stream. Better catch these streams, or you're gonna catch these hands. What intrigue is happening, right? And where's Joab in all this? Is he with David, or is he staying in the city? I guess we'll have to find out. Who, me? Mine? Porcupine? Do I have the soothing voice? I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, so that's where we leave. David's left the city. What'd you say, Blake? What is that? Bro, you can't stay in my cave. Is that what you told? Were you talking about what he said to Hushai? Dude, you can't stay here. That's where that's where we're at, right? Absalom is allowed to come back to Jerusalem. Things are a little awkward. Absalom decides it's time for him to take power. Clearly, he's not seeking the Lord's blessing in all this. So maybe Absalom is given over to the dark side. Oh, because his robe was torn and dust on his head. He goes, what is wrong with you, fool? That's not how we're looking. We're barefoot and head covered. We're not robe torn and dust on head. You can't follow simple instructions. You stick out. Go on, man. Away from me. Now, David's setting traps. David's clever. David is wise. Not so wise when it comes to women. Very wise when it comes to other things, like killing the husband of the woman he got pregnant, Bathsheba. Anyway, all right. With that said, we're gonna pick up maybe tomorrow. Nothing on Friday. Thursday's up in the air. We'll see. We'll see how it lands. I think it's gonna be time. It's awkward for me. This banter in the Testament plays into my family's BS. It happens. Oh, great. Looks like I got connectivity issues. So before that starts rearing its ugly head too much, I'm gonna close things down. So, guys, as usual, it's been awesome. Blaine, Porcupine, two of the regulars in here, two of my pals, folks who I don't mind talking to. I like talking to everybody. Oh, plotting and scheming, yeah. Well, at least we know, Porcupine. At least we know that. At least we know that one of them is righteous and the other one clearly isn't. So what we see now is a David who we know is not perfect. We know is damaged a bit. But even though he's damaged, even though he's flawed, he's still he powers through it. I've messed up. The Lord will do to me what he will, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to work and do the things that maybe I will please him. That's pretty cool. That's why we love David, man. David's awesome. But man, there are some family issues going on right now. So with that said, guys, Porcupine, Blaine, great. Blaine, I might make it over to your stream later on. We'll see where I'm at. But I've got some catching up. I actually just went to bed after my stream last night. Not long after. I played some Brawl Stars, but I didn't get to. Text in Italian. Hey, what's going on? Just saying hello and farewell. Glad you popped in. Don't mind you pop, and glad you made it just at the end, even if it's just for the end. But anyway, all right. So text in Italian, Porcupine, Mayhem, Blaine. Thanks for watching. Wild Weeb, wherever you are, and all the rest of you guys catching it you either caught it live or catching it on the replay and didn't get a chance. Nico, I hope all is well with you. Everybody have a great night and God bless.